So in this video, I want to cover 6 mistakes that new dropshippers make that kill their business before they ever get a chance to scale it. So number one, first and foremost, all of these two are they pertain to every dropshipping business model, not counting Shopify where you have to run your ads to it. Although that's a little bit of a different one. So I just kind of want to talk specifically here in general about like dropshipping on Facebook Marketplace from retail sites or wholesale, dropshipping on eBay, dropshipping on Amazon, dropshipping on Mercari, dropshipping on Poshmark, Etsy, you name it, stuff like that. Not the Shopify business model where you have to set your own store up and then obviously run advertising, okay? So we're talking about dropshipping in the generic sense on those platforms, and the number one mistake that I see a lot of people making, and it's a mistake that really everybody faces and they have to overcome, myself included, is scaling too fast. And this makes a lot of sense because in the beginning, you don't really have a proof of concept yet, so you're starting, you're kind of going at it a little bit here and there to try to see if it even works for you, right? You've heard about this dropshipping, no matter if it's Facebook Marketplace or Amazon or eBay or whatever it is, and so you put a little bit of work in, but then once you get proof of concept and you start getting sales, chances are you're watching more YouTube videos or you're in Facebook groups, you're on forums, and you're seeing that other people are having a lot more success than you, and the level of success out there is, really there for you, and it's there for the taking, right? So there's scalability there. Now, the next, kind of gut reaction there, and the next kind of step in the process is, all right, well, let's scale this, right? Let's list more, because in a lot of these places, unless you're listing on somewhere like Etsy where they charge you per listing, even though it's, super minimal, I think it's like 10 cents, it might be 25 cents, I'm really not sure. If it's somewhere free to list, like eBay or Amazon or, Facebook Marketplace or anything like that, then all you're really spending is your time, and it doesn't cost you anything to list, so you can really scale it to the max if you're willing to put the effort in, obviously, over time. And so a major issue that I see here is people scale too fast, and that kind of brings its own issues up because you can run into cash flow issues, which isn't that big of a deal because you can obviously stop or turn your stores on vacation mode or obviously deactivate some of your listings or whatever it is. But another thing that comes up is with scalability issues, if you scale too fast and you don't have systems put in place, is you could run into issues like, for example, if you're not tracking your inventory, which I don't even track my inventory, and I don't really recommend that anybody really tracks their inventory on Facebook Marketplace specifically or on Poshmark or Mercari. It's not really worth the price that you're going to have to pay into an inventory software system like that. Now on Amazon, it's a little bit different because they take metrics a little bit more seriously. eBay, you probably want to track your inventory, but Facebook Marketplace or anything like that is not really necessary in my opinion now, and I've talked about that in other videos. But the issue with scaling too fast to that is like, if you scale too fast, and this is something that happened to me on Amazon and almost killed my Amazon store, it's also something that just happened to me on Facebook Shops, and thank God, I have experience and I have systems in place to know how to combat it, how to prevent it once it starts happening. But if you get, you start to scale and you're listing a bunch of things, and then one of your listings takes off, or maybe a couple of your listings take off, and for example, there's two main things that I see with this, but for example, let's say you get 10 sales overnight or 20 sales overnight, and you don't have that's for a listing that isn't in stock anymore, or a listing that was discontinued on a website. Well, now you have 20 orders that you don't know what to do with, and you're running into issues with a lot of different orders there because you didn't necessarily have the system in place to combat it, and you didn't have the sales in place over time to kind of bury that in your metrics, right? Whether you're canceling the orders, whether you're shipping out, fake tracking numbers or whatever, okay? That's an issue that can arise when you scale too fast. So you don't want to be greedy, and you want to kind of scale slowly. Make sure that you have the experience. You're seeing all the problems on a low scale first so that you know how to handle them, so that when you scale and you're on a bigger scale, you can handle them better at scale, right? Because you don't want to run into those issues at scale, or it's going to kill your store if you don't have the experience, okay? And trust me, that's firsthand knowledge. I'm not just saying that could happen. I've ran into that issue many times myself, okay? Another thing that can happen with scale is very, very similar, but it's a worse problem, right? So for example, let's say, and this has happened to me a number of times as well, and it's something that's I've had to eat hundreds of dollars in return costs sometimes. So for example, let's say you list something, or if you're scaled up to any certain degree, you have a VA listing for you, and you have one listing, for example, that takes off and you get a bunch of sales on it, and in this case, the actual listing on the other site where you're sourcing from is still in stock, and you send all let's say 20 orders again to a number of customers, And then you don't realize that once you've processed those orders that like maybe your listing is inaccurate, or maybe you shipped out the wrong variation or the wrong size because of the something like wrong in the listing, right? And this has happened to me many, many times, both when I used to do it on Amazon with like variations. That's why I kind of try to stay away from them now. It's also happened to me one time with something on eBay as well. It was like one thing that I talked about in my last video was like soccer nets and soccer goals. So a lot of people would buy this one soccer net that wasn't actually the framed goal. It was just the net, thinking that they got a great deal. And I sold probably I don't know, like 40 or 50 of these. And then almost everybody wanted a refund or a return because they they realized when they got it that it was just the net, not the soccer goal, right? So normally that's not a big deal, but if you run into an eBay seller with an issue that's giving you a hard time and responding slowly, yes, you can get obviously all your refunds back or return all those items if you know what to do and if you're willing to be patient, but it's a freaking headache to do that with a number of orders, right? So that's another issue that can kind of come up, and those are just two examples of things that can come up when you scale too fast, right? So that was a long-winded answer with number one. I'll try to move through the next one's kind of a little bit faster. But be wary of scaling too fast, because while everybody wants to do it, and you want to get from where you are now to multiple thousands of dollars or $10,000 profit months, totally get that, makes perfect sense. Be wary of scaling too fast, because if you don't have the systems in place, if you don't have the experience in place to deal with those problems as they arise on a small scale, you're going to literally blow up as they hit you in volume, okay? So number two is using the address copying software, whether you're using something like Spot and Paste, whether you're using something built into an FBM Fox or a Z-Drop, where you actually have the copy address and then you paste the address in. I've ran into issues many, many times. Most of the time it works copy paste, but every once in a while you'll either forget to paste it in there, or on top of that, you'll paste it in and then run into an issue where you might have an apartment number in the other little box there and not realize it, or something goes wrong. Not a lot of times, but every once in a while with the copy software. So I recommend the copy address software. A lot of coffee today. That's why I'm all over the place. So what I recommend is one of two things, right? Either use the copy address software, which I definitely recommend because it can save you a lot of time, and then make sure that you're clicking back and forth and verifying that the address is correct every single time. Don't just jump the gun and assume it copied right every time. Or you might run into an issue where you have a $200 order and you ship it to the wrong address, and then you're screwed and you're out of $200 because you copied and pasted the wrong address, right? I don't want you to run into those problems, so make sure that you're either doing that and verifying it with the software and making sure that you have the right address in there. I know it goes without saying and it's common sense, but a lot of people don't. They just take it for granted that the copy address will paste it in perfectly every single time, and they never forget. Or do what I did when I started and what I recommend to most beginners, literally manually copy it, yourself. If you're using any of the normal beginner methods like Amazon, eBay, Home Depot, Walmart, any of the beginner places that most people go to because they're easy and they have a big product catalog, all of those websites will literally guess where you're shipping it to immediately. So that means that all you have to do is really paste in the person's name, paste in their street address, and most of the time it will come up with the full address, and then you just click OK. And then you don't need to really verify because you know it's perfect every single time. You just click over once, make sure that you have the state and the city right, and bam, you're good to go, okay? So make sure that when you're using the copy address software, it doesn't matter what software you're using, there's a lot of them out there. I recommend Z-Drop, obviously, which is the listing software that comes with that. If you're doing Amazon dropshipping, I obviously recommend Spot and Paste, or eBay dropshipping. Spot and Paste works great as well. Just make sure that you're verifying and not taking it for granted, or you could run into an issue. You might not think it's that big of an issue, and it might not be that big of an issue if it's a $5 or $10 or $20 order. But I've done multiple times where I've shipped out big orders to the wrong address, and then there's no way to get that back because it's delivered to the wrong address. That's the address that you put in there, and you're shit out of luck because you're out $200, $300, whatever it is, right? So just verify every time. It might slow you down a little bit, but it's well worth it, okay? Even at scale. Now, number three is not properly managing cash flow. And this is something that I dealt with specifically on Amazon because I scaled too fast. It's also something, it's not that big of a deal, but it's also something that you kind of want to focus on, because the reason being is if you're not managing your cash flow and checking it every single day, the same thing goes with personal finance. You always want to check your bank accounts, always check your credit cards. If you're not managing your cash flow, you could run into an issue where you wake up with 30 new orders. and you don't have any money or any credit to actually pay for those orders, and that can kill your metrics and you have to cancel all those orders, right? So this is a little problem, but you definitely want to manage cash flow. Also because like you might need to turn off your store so that you give yourself time if you're starting, if you don't have the credit, you don't already have some cash flow, so that you can recoup some of that money so that you can then spend it going forward in the future, okay? Now, the next one, number 4, is getting, one that I see a lot, and we all face this, myself included, like getting too emotional dealing with customers if they give you a hard time, or they ask for a refund, or like even if you're pretty sure that they're lying to you and they're saying like it didn't get delivered. I always recommend just looking at it as like this is like par for the course, right? Like this is part of doing business as a drop shipper. Always, just not always, but the majority of time, refund those customers, be kind to them, don't go off on a long-winded response and be like unprofessional and get mad back at them, because it's not worth it. And especially on Amazon, that can really run you into problems. It can a little bit on Facebook Marketplace, but not really. But I have noticed, this is a guess, a correlation between like some claims on Facebook Marketplace and then getting my account suspended, thinking that like something's wrong, right? Now, granted, I get my account back like almost immediately within 24 hours every single time it's happened to me in the past, and it's happened like 4 or 5 times now, I think. Not recently, but I'm sure another one's coming eventually, let's be real. But there is a correlation there, so I would say like be careful with that. Make sure that you're always dealing with customers and kind of conversing with them, you know, on a kind basis, being professional, always accept returns for them, and always aid them, you know, making sure that they're happy customers, right? And that goes for Amazon, that goes for eBay, that goes for Facebook Marketplace, or any different, marketplace. I'm telling you, it'll pay off. It's annoying to deal with that. It's annoying to kind of swallow your pride and be like, I know that this person's lying, or I have a good chance or a good, inclination that this person is lying, and the tracking is literally showing that it's been delivered to the right address and they're saying it's not there. It's not worth it in my opinion most of the time. There are those rare circumstances, but like just refund them, move on to the next customer, and block them as a problem customer in the future, because the majority of sales that you get and the majority of profit will way outweigh the little amount of refunds and annoying customers that you have, right? You want the privilege of doing business on the marketplace. You don't want to risk that for 1 or 2 idiot customers, okay? So take a deep breath before you respond to somebody and get mad, and then, deal with it in a professional manner, even if you think they're lying, even if you know you're right, okay? Number 5, there's 2 more. We're going to cover 6 here, obviously, like I said. Number 5 is not paying attention to your metrics. This is something that obviously Amazon takes super, super seriously. So literally every day, if you're dropshipping on Amazon and eBay as well, although eBay does a little bit better of a job of like warning you, Amazon, you have to check like your metrics tab every single day. Check it every single day, right? Same thing with Facebook Marketplace, go into mobile, go into insights. I have not found a way to do it on desktop yet, which is crazy to me. There's so many different things, like they're all over the place with like what works on desktop versus what works on mobile. But for me, it's mobile. For you, it might be something different, but check your insights tab and your metrics on Facebook Marketplace every single day. It doesn't matter where you're dropshipping, make sure you're on top of your metrics and staying within those parameters, because if you're not, then you could run into an issue where it's like the next canceled order puts you above or below, depending on how they're looking at it, a critical metric that ends up getting your account suspended, right? So just stay above the metrics. Make sure that you're focused on them and paying attention to them and looking at them every single day, okay? If you're looking at it every single day and like it looks great, then chances are obviously you don't need to worry about it, and that's fine, but you still want to check it, because for example, like another thing on Amazon that you'll also see on Facebook Marketplace every once in a while is like if you check it, you'll notice issues faster that maybe aren't aren't like an issue that you did, right? So like for example, if you're looking at your metrics tab on Amazon and you happen to notice that like somebody made a claim that, I don't know, that something was like an inaccurate website description, or like you were listing a product that was like inauthentic or something, you can get ahead of that a lot faster rather than like if you check it once a week and it happened like a week ago. Well, now it's been a week into your metrics and you haven't done anything about it, right? So stay on top of it. It's very, very easy to just check your metrics once a day. Again, once a day, it will pay off, trust me, okay? And finally is not outsourcing or hiring, because, as a beginner, and I'm speaking my language here. I faced this for the past 4 or 5 years, honestly, as an entrepreneur. Like I didn't hire or outsource for the longest time. I know a lot of people face this because you want to keep all the profit. You don't want to give up like $500, $1,000, a couple $1,000, depending on your scale, to hire somebody else, right? But the irony in that is that if you are willing to put some money back into the business and spend it, hiring or outsourcing to other people, you're going to be able to scale a lot faster if you do it correctly, which will then obviously bring more profit into your business over time, consistently for the months to come. So you're not like stuck at like 10K a month or like 15 a month or 5K a month or 20K a month or whatever it is for you. You're able to pour more money back into it. And one thing that it took me a long time to realize, even though like I knew it logically, is like, as two people are literally working on both computers right here, right now for me as I'm recording this video, is like, it doesn't matter how smart I am. And I'm not saying I'm smart, but like, let's say like, it doesn't matter how smart I think I am at like implementing something. It doesn't matter how hard I'm willing to work or if I'm willing to work 20-hour days. I cannot outwork multiple people. And so if you're willing to outsource and hire, you can scale your business so much faster. And honestly, you'll be able to think like big picture things about how to actually scale your business and do the other things that other people aren't able to replicate and hire for. It's just a better way to do it, right? And you won't be as burnout. We all as entrepreneurs, especially when you're starting, face like that burnout phase. But if you can start scaling your business by yourself first and then are willing to outsource and hire, you will avoid burnout, you'll scale a lot faster, and then you'll build a team that you can obviously take with you if it pivots or if something adjusts in the future, right? So I didn't plan this, I kind of rambled on all these, but I really hope that they help. These are literally 6 mistakes that I see all new dropshippers make. I'm not saying they all make all 6 of these, but like, they make a combination at least of 1 or 2 of these. Myself, I've literally faced all of these. That's how I know them. And I see people commenting these things in like Facebook groups or forums. I also see beginners that, start my course, shameless plug, link in the description if you want Dropship Pro. They're always kind of facing these issues. So to recap, it's scaling too fast. Be careful with that. Make sure you understand, have experience, and have systems in place first. Number 2 is using the address copying software and taking it for granted that it works every time and not verifying that you have the right address in there. Number 3 is not properly managing your cash flow. Number 4 is getting too emotional and getting mad at customers or not refunding customers because you think that they're lying to you. It's a big mistake. I'm telling you, treat it as a business. Just write them off as like an idiot and an expense and then block them in the future. It's never worth fighting over one customer and risking your account or a bad review or something like that, right? Number 5 is not paying attention to your metrics. Check them every single day, no matter the platform. And number 6, finally, is not hiring or outsourcing because you want to keep a good portion of the profit, okay? So I really hope that all those helped. If you have a question, drop it in the comment section down below. I would love to answer it for you. Clearly, I can't talk today and I need to end this video. So I'll see you guys in the next one. Really hope you enjoyed that video. If you're brand new to dropshipping, I recommend that you get started with ZDrop. It's a software that'll help you run and scale your entire dropshipping business for just over $10 a month. I still use it every single day in my own business, and it's a no-brainer, okay? It'll make your listing, customer service, order fulfillment, and a number of other things a lot faster and a lot easier, okay? Now, ultimately, the quickest way to get from where you are now to a dropshipping business that's paying you consistently every month is to simply enroll in my Dropship Pro course. Both of those things are linked directly down in the description below. And if you have any questions, please let me know in the comments, and feel free to check out some of the other videos that are on this channel on e-commerce, dropshipping, and a number of other things, all right? See you in the next one.